Let's face it, this school year has been unlike anything we've ever experienced before.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is working to help keep you and your community safe from the threat of novel or new coronavirus.
My name is Kimberly Franey. Join me today to learn how to better support your students while teaching in the hybrid learning model. The first thing a teacher can do to help their students during the hybrid learning model is to identify the things that they really struggle with. Students have reported the things that they struggle with the most are being disorganized,
doing everything at random times. Your brain is just really scrambled. Stuff in the news, social media, and stuff being said at school, rumors, and all this stuff.
Teaching themselves new concepts on distance learning days.
Most of the time on Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm teaching myself some of the topic because I don't get to learn it from a teacher, and I do best learning face-to-face rather than through a computer.
One thing I find extremely difficult with this hybrid schedule is not having instant access to the teachers. Because when you're usually here 5 days a week, you have the ability to talk to them, just go right up to their desk.
And keeping up with their assignments and turning them in on time.
I think the first and most important thing you should do is make sure that you don't get behind on your work. Because if you go from class to home and then you don't do your assignments or you wait until the last minute to do things, it can get really hard and then you're unorganized at that point, so you're running from class to class and nothing really makes sense.
The first thing that a teacher can do in the hybrid learning model is to utilize their student management system. Here in Horry County Schools, we use Google Classroom. When using Google Classroom, you should use your topics to organize your lessons by the week. You also should number your assignments. Students are very thankful when we number our assignments instead of just putting a title. It's much easier to find assignment number 47 than it is to look for the title of that assignment.
I think that the most helpful things my teachers do for me is when we have those big task lists. Those really help me to make sure I know what I'm doing in school and outside of school. It also really helps me to organize Google Classroom and task lists based on what I do the first distance learning day and the second distance learning day, so I know what to do to make sure that I'm ready.
The next thing that a teacher can do in their classroom to support their students is to encourage them to use their daily planner.
One thing that has, helped me tremendously is having a planner. I take out my computer and take out my planner, have it right on the desk. And so usually teachers assign things throughout the day. So this is what I do usually, for science when I'm in advisory, is that, I write down everything I need to do for science. And then when she explains it, I'll write down the planner as well, so I know what to do, so it's not as confusing, and I have an advantage so I can get it done quickly.
The last thing that teachers can do is to encourage their students to ask for help. Students often, when they're on the distance learning model, forget that they can access their teachers through email. They even can call and leave them a voice message when they need help.
If you need it, ask others for help, because when you're not at school 5 days a week and not having that teacher there all the time, it can get really hard to get your questions answered. So if you need help, make sure to ask your teachers for help.
One thing that's really missing during the hybrid learning model is the ability to build the same strong relationship with your students. When you only see your students 2 days a week, it's much more difficult to build a relationship with that student. One thing that a teacher can do to help build a better relationship is to use a social media platform that is safe for your students. One such thing that you can use is Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a web-based service where students can record videos and teachers can give recorded video feedback and where they can communicate. Teachers can choose to make those private, or teachers can have them as a community where students can comment back and forth through video or through text in order to support each other in their classroom. It really is a wonderful way to get to know your students, and also a wonderful way for students to interact with each other when they may not see their friends that are attending distance learning days on opposite schedules. Okay, let's recap the things that you can do to help your students. Use Google Classroom, organize your topics by the week, number your assignments, encourage students to use their daily planner or Google Calendar. Finally, Please encourage your students to ask for help. Thank you for joining me on this video on how to support your students in a hybrid learning or distance learning environment.